host with the most, Jenna, as always. Welcome back. So, I have finally checked out The Changeling. Yeah, I was actually planning on watching this, like, towards the end of last week, but a couple different, things came up, a couple different movies, and other things kind of came up. Finally popped this in last night, and let me tell you, I really enjoyed this movie. I know there are a few people who were a little let down by this movie. I definitely see where people were let down. I'll even kind of admit, too, the ending for me was a little mediocre, but I mean, that's just upon initial viewing. I do plan on watching this again, maybe even doing another, like, sort of review of, like, hey, review of a second viewing of this movie, whatever, maybe, I don't know. But let's run through this real quick. So, this came out, what, like 70s, like 79-ish or so? But 1980. Now this here, so way before we had all these sort of, like, Insidious movies and Paranormal Activity movies, we had The Changeling and other things such as, like, Lady in White. Now, this is my type of ghost story. Let me tell you, I don't need all that other weird paranormal, run-of-the-mill, done a million times, done to death type of movie. I enjoy more of these type of movies because I feel like they're a bit more subtle. It's definitely a bridge between the old school haunted house movies, such as, like, anything with Vincent Price, and what we have today. And and once again, kind of referring to, like, Insidious and all those type of movies, The Conjuring, all those type of movies, hauntings of blah blah blah. This just works for me on a lot of different levels because of, like, the creep factor. Like, I was pretty creeped out by this movie. Not, like, overly creeped, but I literally, as soon as I turned off my light, because about, like, maybe half an hour into it or whatever, I finally turned off my lights, and I literally was a little, like, I was getting a little creeped out. I was getting a little freaked. Let me tell you, and that doesn't really happen with me with the more modern sort of ghost stories. So yeah, for me, it was pretty effective in that sense. Story, I really kind of liked. You're sort of like run of the mill. Once again, I know we've seen this quite a bit with more modern stuff. This is usually how a lot of the ghost story type of movies start off with. There's some sort of tragedy usually, and then there's the survivors who have sort of, like, all this guilt and everything, and just all the sadness and darkness surrounding them due to this accident. In this case, gentleman, George C. Scott's character, was using a payphone to call, like, roadside assistance or whatever. His wife and daughter were kind of by the car, playing in the snow while they're waiting, and what do you know, an accident occurs because there's two other vehicles heading in opposite directions, coming towards each other, and this truck swerves out of the way, hits the mother and daughter and everything. He sees all this, so obviously that's gonna, have some damage and everything. And then the rest of the movie is just him trying to move on. He moves into this new house and everything that happens to actually be haunted from a previous family from, like, years and years ago, like 70 years ago or whatever. And one of the kids actually died in a similar manner to his daughter and his wife. And then he finds out that there's, like, other things that had gone on, other deaths and everything. So of course it's all, like, all of this and everything. And at first, you think that the ghost, so to speak, is probably, like, his daughter. You think it's his daughter has attached herself to him, has traveled all this way to this new house and everything. We quickly do find out eventually that, obviously it wasn't his daughter, but it was of the people who previously lived there and everything. And of course, which something that I really do like, they, used it correctly, in my opinion, that Ghost is trying to contact them because, or George C. Scott's character, because obviously something went wrong. They're trying to like get this what exactly happened out in the open and everything. So it just a lot of different things like that that I feel like this movie definitely executed. And I as I was watching this, I definitely saw a lot of um, things in this movie that have influenced more modern movies that, you know, a lot of like the tropes and everything, or even little like jump scares. This movie does have some jump scares in it, but once again, I feel like it's done effectively. It's not overly done or anything like the movies that are done today. Just everything about this, just I feel like it's a very, very well done movie. Almost a, I don't want to say perfect, but almost perfect type of ghost story and telling of a ghost story. Very much how like The Fog or once again Lady in White is. And you know what? I would have to say this is a good cross between. I mean, I know neither of the movies were out when this movie came out, but definitely like a good cross between the original Fog and Lady in White. Like if you have to like kind of describe this movie to anyone, so yeah, it has some good jump scares, it's got some suspense and everything, and like the music and the sound effects and everything were done very effectively, very very well done. Really enjoyed it. But no, it's just a really well done sort of ghost story that I really miss seeing. Like this is the type of ghost story that I enjoy. Not so much, you know, what we're flooded with today. I think we need to go back to more of this type of ghost story because quite frankly, and I know a lot of you guys are like me, I'm just kind of tired of the modern ghost story. Like, we need a good old fashioned ghost story. I'm just saying. Take some damn cues from the Changeling. I'm just saying. I mean, like I said, in the ending for me though was a little kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, it wasn't the worst. It wasn't so disappointing where it ruined the movie for me, but it was a little like, okay, but you know what? It's still pretty good. It still was a very effective ending, in my opinion. So, but and like I said, I know some people. I think I've heard people kind of say that were disappointed. I think a lot of it had to do with kind of like the ending. I want to say it was more with the ending, if I'm not mistaken. Which once again, I can kind of see that. I understand that of where they're coming from with that. But like I said, it did not destroy the movie for me. It didn't ruin the movie for me or anything. I still thought it was pretty good, even though I was like, oh, that's kind of what happened. Okay, still pretty decent though. But anyway, you guys, that's just kind of my initial thoughts on the Changeling. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of the Changeling. And what are some of your favorites ghost stories? Let's have a discussion. What's some of your favorite ghost stories from past or present? Let me know in the comments. Till next time, as always, you guys, stay creepy, classy, and a little bit sassy.